For the second time in less than a year, the phrase U.S. strike on Iran is dominating online conversations and trending across social media platforms. Viral posts claim negotiations have collapsed and that the Pentagon has already finalized a major military attack plan. The language is dramatic, urgent, and designed to provoke alarm. But history shows that viral claims often move faster than verified facts. The real question is whether this moment represents a genuine countdown to conflict or simply another wave of speculation amplified by fear, algorithms, and global uncertainty. At the moment, tensions between the United States and Iran are undeniably high. Many analysts say they have not reached these levels since last year's U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Social media narratives insist that war is imminent and unavoidable. Official statements, however, are far more cautious and measured. This gap between online panic and institutional language creates confusion. As usual in geopolitics, the truth does not sit at either extreme. It exists in a gray zone shaped by military readiness, diplomatic deadlock, and political messaging. The viral post circulating most widely on X makes three bold claims. First, it asserts that negotiations with Iran have completely failed. Second, it claims that the Pentagon has finalized a significant military attack plan. Third, it suggests that this information comes directly from the U.S. Department of Defense. On the surface, these claims sound authoritative, but credibility depends on verification, and that is where the story begins to unravel under closer examination. There is currently no official statement on defense.gov confirming the collapse of talks or the approval of a strike plan. No Pentagon press briefing has supported these claims. No senior defense official has gone on record to validate them. In the world of national security, such developments would not remain hidden for long. Instead, experts believe the viral post is an aggregation of existing facts, assumptions, and public commentary rather than a genuine intelligence leak or official disclosure. Indirect negotiations between Washington and Tehran have indeed stalled. That much is true. But stalled diplomacy does not automatically equal failed diplomacy. At the same time, the Pentagon routinely prepares military options for a wide range of scenarios. This is standard practice, not a declaration of intent. Analysts and former officials have also publicly discussed possible strike scenarios for years. When these elements are combined and framed dramatically, they can appear far more decisive than they actually are. To understand why so many people are taking the current moment seriously, it's essential to look back at what happened in June 2025. That was when the United States launched Operation Midnight Hammer, targeting Iran's most fortified nuclear facilities at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. The operation marked a major escalation and fundamentally changed assumptions about how far Washington was willing to go to enforce its red lines. Operation Midnight Hammer was historically significant for another reason. It marked the first real-world use of America's most powerful bunker-busting bomb against hardened underground facilities. The strikes demonstrated not just capability, but political willingness. For years, many believed such weapons were purely deterrent. That assumption was shattered. From that moment on, both allies and adversaries began recalculating risk. The memory of those strikes still shapes every current conversation about U.S.-Iran relations. Fast forward to today, and talks between the two sides technically continue, but only indirectly. Countries such as Oman, Turkey, and Qatar are acting as intermediaries, carrying messages back and forth. Direct engagement remains off the table. Progress has been minimal, and trust is extremely low. Each side accuses the other of stalling, posturing, or negotiating in bad faith. This diplomatic limbo creates space for speculation, fear, and worst-case assumptions to grow. The core demands on both sides remain fundamentally incompatible. The United States is pushing for zero uranium enrichment, strict limits on Iran's missile program, and an end to support for regional proxy groups. Iran, meanwhile, insists that enrichment is a sovereign right and non-negotiable. Tehran also views its missile program and regional alliances as essential components of its national defense strategy. These positions leave very little room for compromise. Despite the deadlock, both governments continue to publicly state that they are open to negotiations. At the same time, both accuse the other of acting in bad faith. This contradiction is not unusual in high-stakes diplomacy. Public openness helps maintain international legitimacy, while private distrust shapes actual policy. The result is a fragile standoff where dialogue exists in name but produces little movement in practice. Adding to the tension are increasingly blunt statements from President Trump. In recent remarks, he has warned that time is running out and spoken openly about deploying a massive armada. He has also suggested that any future strike would be far more severe than the one carried out last year. These comments are widely interpreted as pressure tactics rather than immediate threats, but in volatile regions, words themselves can become strategic weapons. This approach fits within a long tradition of pressure diplomacy. By combining military signaling with public warnings, leaders attempt to force concessions without firing a shot. The danger, however, is miscalculation. In regions already saturated with armed actors, alliances, and unresolved conflicts, even symbolic moves can be misread. History shows that wars often begin not from intent, but from misunderstanding and escalation spirals. Meanwhile, U.S. military movements are difficult to ignore. Carrier strike groups have been repositioned near the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global choke point for energy supplies. Destroyers, fighter squadrons, and advanced air defense systems are now deployed in numbers not seen since the 2025 strikes. These movements are visible, deliberate, and closely watched by both allies and adversaries. The Pentagon insists that these deployments are defensive and precautionary. Officials emphasize that being prepared does not mean that war is inevitable. Preparation simply means that options exist if political leaders choose to act. Still, preparation itself sends a message. Military assets do not move in a vacuum. Every deployment is read, analyzed, and responded to by the other side. Iran, for its part, has shown no sign of backing down. Iranian naval forces have conducted drills in the Strait of Hormuz. Fast attack boats have been seen shadowing U.S. vessels. Officials have issued public warnings stating that any American strike would be met with immediate retaliation. These responses are meant to signal resolve and deterrence, not necessarily intent to initiate conflict. Tehran's warnings extend beyond U.S. forces alone. Iranian officials have emphasized that retaliation would occur across the region, involving allies and proxies if necessary. This regional dimension is what makes the situation especially dangerous. Any exchange between the U.S. and Iran would not remain contained. It would likely affect multiple countries, shipping routes, energy markets, and civilian populations. What emerges is a picture of mutual deterrence under extreme stress. Both sides are signaling strength while attempting to avoid crossing a point of no return. Each move is calibrated, but calibration does not guarantee control. When forces operate in close proximity, accidents and misinterpretations become increasingly likely. That is why analysts describe the current situation as not just tense, but fragile. The role of social media in this environment cannot be ignored. Viral posts thrive on urgency and fear. They compress complex realities into dramatic headlines and unverified claims. While they can sometimes surface real issues, they are just as likely to distort timelines and intentions. In moments like this, the speed of information becomes a liability rather than an asset. This is why experts caution against treating viral posts as breaking news. Genuine shifts toward war do not usually reveal themselves first on social platforms. They emerge through official statements, emergency briefings, unusual troop movements, and coordinated government actions. Anything else is noise until proven otherwise. Panic benefits algorithms, not understanding. That does not mean the risks are imaginary. The options being discussed are real. The forces involved are real. The consequences would be real and immediate. But recognizing danger is different from assuming inevitability. The space between readiness and action is where diplomacy, restraint, and strategic calculations still operate. History shows that U.S.-Iran relations move in cycles of escalation and de-escalation. Periods of intense pressure are often followed by unexpected openings. The challenge is surviving the pressure phase without triggering irreversible decisions. Both governments understand the stakes, even if their publics and online commentators often do not. For now, there is no official confirmation that negotiations are definitively over. There is no verified announcement of an approved strike plan. There is only preparation, signaling, and uncertainty. Those elements are dangerous enough, but they are not the same as a countdown to war. The coming days and weeks will be critical. Any real shift will be reflected in concrete actions, not anonymous posts. Watch for changes in diplomatic posture, emergency UN meetings, or sudden evacuations. These are the signals that matter. Until then, restraint and interpretation is as important as vigilance. The Middle East has seen too many conflicts begin through misreading and momentum. Leaders on all sides are aware of this history. Whether awareness is enough to prevent escalation remains an open question. What is clear is that every move now carries weight far beyond its immediate intent. For now, this is a story that demands close, careful watching rather than panic. The situation is fluid, tense, and unresolved. If something truly changes, it will not be subtle. It will arrive through official channels and undeniable actions. Until then, understanding the difference between preparation and decision is essential for seeing the situation clearly.